because so much is going into the Super Bowl this year. Not only is it Chiefs versus Eagles, there's so much more at play, you know? Like, everybody talks about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce because they're this idea of like the couple we imagine in our minds, but they're adults. It's like high school, but grown up. You know what I mean? Because she symbolically is like this cheerleader in our minds, this like head cheerleader, and it's not his position, but it's symbolically the quarterback in our minds. And so them getting together makes such perfect rom-com sense that there are actually people who think that all of the NFL is fixed just to keep the Chiefs winning, just to keep them going. And honestly, you kind of have to give Taylor props. There are people that think she's so powerful. She is single-handedly shifting the course of the NFL. You know, because this is my thing with it. You know, if it's fixed, why would they be tackling so hard? You don't need to sell it that bad. If most of the teams know they're not going to the Super Bowl, I think you lay off of a couple hits. I don't think anybody's getting CTE as part of a script. I look at Taylor Swift, I look at what they did to Taylor Swift, especially that part of the season when her and Travis Kelce were just starting to date and they cut to her for no reason. And then people got mad that they were cutting to her. They'd be like, why do you keep cutting to Taylor? But Taylor can't control the camera. Taylor was just trying to eat. And then they cut to her, and then she's doing her best to probably not look annoyed, but also she's genuinely having a good time. She's there with her friends. Yeah, touchdown, yeah, right? But then people are like, why do you keep cutting to her? I don't know. This has never happened before. Cameraman's excited too. They might not even mean to cut to her every time. They're just probably like, man, this is a good play, but I wonder what Taylor's up to. Don't get mad at Taylor because the cameraman got a crush. And so then Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce together. Now Travis Kelce is an interesting dude to me. He really is. Because Travis Kelce, up until this point, I don't know him that well and follow him that closely, but I think he had like mostly, if not only, dated black women before Taylor, you know? And so he has like a fade. So this dude has a fade, and people were asking him about his fade because he has his platform raised. He was already super popular, but his platform got knocked up a few levels by dating Taylor. There were more eyes on him than ever before. And so then, you know, everyone was asking him about his fade. And then about exactly a year ago, from when I'm speaking right now, they asked him about his fade and what it was like to like invent that look. And to his credit, Travis Kelce said, it's the first day of Black History Month. What are you trying to do to me? Which, what an answer. You know what I mean? Like, this is the thing I really didn't think about until that moment, is that if you're like a white dude, right? And something ignorant or even bigoted happens around you. Somebody asks an ignorant question, or somebody just says something, right? The expectation, if you're a good guy, is to say something immediately, just really stand up and be like, hey, that's not cool, that's not okay, don't do that, right? You know, just really, you can't even give it a second. You have to be like, hey, stop. right there, okay? Hey, listen here, pal, cut it out. Hey, look, buddy, don't go any further, all right? Gosh darn it, that's racist. Don't you dare, not in my house, not. Nah, get a load of this guy. No way, not today, brother, right? That's the expectation, that you're gonna like notice it, you're gonna catch it, and you're gonna jump on it immediately. And if you don't do that, then you must have been with that thing. That's the assumption, right? But then you're also, and I really didn't give some of my white friends enough credit in this position. If you take too much of a stand, that's also suspicious. You know what I mean? You hear me? Like if something like ignorant happens around you, or an ignorant question gets asked of you, and then you're like, what? No! Racism? Not today! Nah, buddy, I'm putting my foot down. Like, because then people are like, oh, what? Are you hiding something? Why are you so amped up like this? You know? And so to his credit, he's like, guys, look, it's the first day of Black History Month. What are you trying to do to me? All right? I didn't invent that look, okay? I got a barber. He knows how to do the taper. Trim it down in the back, 2 or the 4. But if you want to fade, I know a guy. I know a dude, he's good. You know, he does mine. Travis Kelce's sitting there like, what kind of questions are you asking me? How do y'all not know any black people? You cover the NFL. What's wrong with you? You know? And Travis and Taylor together, they do, to me at least, you know, the little bit that I engage with it, because I don't necessarily follow either one of them closely, but every time I see them together, they do look like picture perfect in a way where I'm like, okay, obviously you're going to get the conspiracy theories, but the conspiracy theories were weird to me because they were like people upset. But what's there to be upset about? It's football. She's blonde. We're in America. This is the most American thing that could be happening. And there are people that are like, no, it's a PSYOP. I'm like, against who? It's a beautiful white couple. Who are we trying to trick? What is the plan here? That's how you can tell there's some people that just need to be mad about anything possible. I'm like, what? You're the one that said stop kneeling, and now you're mad at Taylor and Travis Kelce for holding hands. What's crazy about the Super Bowl for me is that no matter who wins, no matter who it is, the celebrations I've always found very odd. You know? I understand celebrating when you get the touchdown. I love those. I hated when the NFL tried to like clamp down on any showboat, any celebrations, because you just did one of the hardest things in the world. Imagine if you did that for like a scientist. Scientist finds the cure and he can't even do a little. And you're like, Josh, why are you comparing scientists finding cures to players getting a touchdown? I'm telling you right now, they're almost as hard as each other. Because I have some pretty sizable individuals in my family, you know. And I have a cousin, he's 2'11", all muscle. If I wanted to get around him, I'd need something sharp. So trust me when I tell you, if I get around this man and then outrun him and then get a touchdown, I'm hitting the I'm hitting it hard. I'm hitting it in his face because it may never happen again. I love like a good touchdown celebration. They spike that ball, and then you see what moves they have because these are big men. These are very big men, so they're not always the most agile. Like, they're good at running, but usually in a straight line. A lot of the times when these players fall, it's falls where, look, I'm not a professional athlete, but I don't tip that easy. Every once in a while, you'll see an NFL player run it, and then somebody just sort of moves their shoulder, and they're like, uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. That's my favorite, is when they catch it and then somebody's too close and they're like, we going down. All right. No, but when they get in the zone, they've spiked the ball, there's a couple seconds left, and they're allowed to celebrate. This is when you could really do it. And they hit something you didn't even think was possible, you know. Really flowy with it. You know what I mean? They use their hips and stuff. And so, that's my favorite. I wish it was even longer. They should get more time to do it, you know? Like, hockey has whole breaks for fights. You could let a guy run in and get on his hands and knees, and then the other guy's like, yeah! No, I'm telling you, it's a beautiful thing to see them that excited, that happy. This is what they work for. This is what they put their bodies on the line for, and it's why they're in pain most of the time. These dudes retire, and it's not like they can just take an Advil. They just have headaches for the rest of their life. And so in this moment, they did what they came to do. They scored. Maybe they won. Let them celebrate, you know? Some of the celebrations I don't get, though. Like, when they win, and they have to throw some sort of liquid on the coach. I feel like we never ask the coach how they feel about it. Because they don't always look excited. It's almost like a requirement that whatever it is has to have some ice. And it has to be a surprise. They never do it from the front. It's always just poured all over the coach. Why is it? They win. They did what they came here to do, and they look at the coach and they're like, yeah, drown him. He'll love it. On top of everything, with Travis and Taylor and the Chiefs, you have the Eagles. Eagles fans, truly remarkable. They're terrifying. And it doesn't matter who wins, because whichever city wins, this happens every year, every Super Bowl, every Stanley Cup, whichever city wins, looks like it's been attacked the next day. Why is it that the winning city looks so busted? The day you won, why are you tearing up your city? The team will win. And then their own fans will go out into the city and cause so much destruction. You would think the other team sent their city. Like, go get them, Kansas City. What they did to us. You know, I've watched it. I've watched it happen. You know, I lived in Chicago when the Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup. And a bus. They were leaving. Everybody's excited. And then there was just like a group think, that's a bus. It shouldn't be right side up. Let's go correct that right now. And then the bus driver is sitting in the bus like, y'all, I'm your ride. Why are y'all? Uh-oh, we're going down. And on top of it all, you have the Super Bowl halftime show performed by Kendrick Lamar. And as far as we know, SZA and potentially some other guests, you know. And this is wild. You know, Kendrick said it about himself, but truly, we're seeing astronomical, historical levels of him being the biggest hater in the world. Fundamental hate. A hater where I pray I never have a hater that plans as well and executes hate so efficiently as Kendrick Lamar. This man hates the level of hate. Okay, so if you are not aware, in the beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar, the first song that you could say maybe even kicked off the whole thing, some people say it was like that, but some people say it was First Person Shooter. And in First Person Shooter, Drake says, big as the what? Big as the what? Big as the Super Bowl. And I guess Kendrick said, challenge accepted. Because you're not ready for the level of hate I can bring. And then there was a whole beef and this whole thing happened. And, you know, Kendrick kind of, I don't know, I guess ruined Drake's life. And then it's announced that Kendrick is going to be doing the Super Bowl halftime show. And Drake, he started suing. He started suing different parties. He started suing in different ways, different lawsuits claiming different things, some defamation, some were just petitions to get information, claiming that Not Like Us, the song that I'm assuming plays in Drake's head 24/7. You know, that song that they use bots. They must use bots. That's why it's so popular and everything. And then he withdrew one lawsuit and he filed another lawsuit. And it would seem, I'm not Drake and I'm not on his team and I don't know his lawyers, but it would seem that all these lawsuits are to in some way, hopefully, possibly, stop Kendrick Lamar from performing Not Like Us at the Super Bowl. That is what a lot of people think all of this is about. He just doesn't want him to perform that song at the Super Bowl. And so maybe he thinks that if he causes enough legal trouble and kicks up enough of a fuss, that the NFL will be like, hey, sir, Mr. Lamar, Mr. Morale. I heard it, great album. If you could not do this one, because we just don't want to be involved in any suits and stuff. I think that's what Drake was hoping. And it appears that has not worked, because then a representative for the NFL came out and said Kendrick can do whatever songs he wants, whatever, it's his halftime show, so let him perform, you know what I mean? And that's got to be rough. That must be rough if you're Drake to hear that, because now all Drake can potentially do is sue sound. That's the only thing he hasn't tried. If he comes out and it's like, hey, anybody making noise can get it, all right? It's the only thing I can think of. You know what I mean? Because it must be terrifying. If you're Drake, to think that Kendrick might perform Not Like Us at the Super Bowl halftime show, one of the most watched events in television, period. Might be him doing a song he wrote about you. A song that already, as I'm speaking, has won 3 Grammys. That's gotta be terrifying, to think that he might go out there and perform Not Like Us at the Super Bowl. And the audience knows every word. That would be terrible. That would be, because I would never want to know that. Even if somebody made a song that was devastating about me and my life and it really tore me up and everybody liked it, I wouldn't want to know that they knew it word for word. No. That's got to be terrifying to think that Kendrick Lamar might get out there and perform Not Like Us. Might to a loud stadium of fans screaming. No. Try to strike a chord, and it's probably I think even scarier than Kendrick performing Not Like Us is the audience performing Not Like Us. Because honestly, anticipation is enough. That's how real entertainment works, you know? Whether he performs it 17 times or he doesn't perform it at all, it's already met the moment in that way, you know? Everyone kicking up a stink about it is what actually caused it to get so much attention, just to see if he'll do it, you know? I mean, I hope he does it. I kind of hope it's the only thing he does. Mainly because the Super Bowl halftime show is you know, recorded and it has all of its own production elements that gets them submitted for the Emmys. And so there's a chance that this Grammy-winning song might become an Emmy-winning performance. Oh, I will say though, sometimes it feels like with sports, it's the only time you see so much investment. You see so much come out, like just thrill, agony, all these emotions around a dude's team, around that game, around players and stuff. And I think it's because like sports is one of the few places, maybe even one of the last places, that like a man can express all the aspects of human emotion. He can cry over his team losing. He can be elated. He can be like giddy like a little kid or something. And it's one of the last like socially acceptable places. It's very easy to say like, no, you know, just cry. It's okay for men to cry, but you're not ready. I love when people say like, no, come on. Just break through decades and generations of trauma to just like do what feels like what you want to be doing. No, the only thing stopping you is your mind. As if it's that simple, you know? Sports is one of the last few places that these bonds can be created and that you can fully express yourself. It even creeps up in little different ways. Things that you are innocuous enough, but they run cover for other things, right? Like, let's go. Every one of us here knows a man who has a water bottle. Maybe it's half full, maybe it's a quarter full, but he throws it up in the air. And it flips, and it flips, and it flips, and then if it lands right side up on a flat surface, he will lose his mind. He throws the ball up, it flips, lands right side up. Let's go! Like, let's go was just invented to run cover for dudes crying. It is. Go! It's the same mouth movement. It's the same shapes. And if you scream, let's go hard enough, you can squint. And when you squint, people can't tell you're crying. Because we've all known a man All of us here have known a man where his team, whatever the reason it is that he loves that team, it doesn't matter. His team is down. All right? Loved this team since he was a little kid. Memories going to the stadium and everything. His team is down. It's a very important game. Playoff game. Maybe the game that decides whether or not his team goes to the Super Bowl. This team that he loves, who maybe has never got this far in a long, long time. And they're down with 3 seconds left. They have possession, and they throw a Hail Mary pass. All right? Wide receiver is running for his life as hard as he can. He jumps up in the air, and then by his fingertips, he manages to get control of the ball in the air. He clenches it tight. He lands. Touchdown. Touchdown. The team was behind, and now they're ahead. They've won. There were 3 seconds left. The game is over. And then your friend, who's not on the team, who's not at the game, your friend on his couch pops up in front of the TV. Let's go! Like truly, as men, I don't even think we would need let's go if we just felt more comfortable saying, I really needed that. Because I even try now to add more sports analogies in the examples that I make, because I feel like it accesses some people who don't get what I'm saying otherwise. There are people that are truly, we give them a bad rap and everybody makes fun of them and everything, but there are people who are genuinely very, very intelligent. You can tell they're intelligent because they find a game that they love and all the game theory around it and all of the possible combinations of what a play could be go through their head. They can screen a play perfectly, almost like it has the lines that we see on the screen, right? But for them, it's playing out perfectly. They know what's happening next. They know someone's made a mistake as soon as the play starts because they understand the game that much. They just don't ever know why their wife is mad. But I think if we incorporated more sports analogies in arguments, people would understand what went wrong. You know what I mean? Like maybe you're mad at your boyfriend or your husband because he forgot something. He forgot something that was really important, And maybe it was like your sister's birthday and you had so much going on that you asked him to go pick something up and then meet you at the party. And instead of going to pick it up, he just met you at the party. And now the place is closed. And so it looks like you didn't get your sister anything. And so you're upset with him because you asked him for this one thing. And instead of doing it, he just kind of blew it off, or he wasn't paying attention, or he genuinely just forgot and then showed up and he doesn't understand why you're upset. But if you say to him, look, it was fourth quarter. It was fourth quarter, and you're at the 3rd-yard line. Like, you're in danger of the other team getting a safety. That's how clutch this is. You only have a few seconds to pass off that ball, right? And if you don't do it just right, that's it, We're not coming back from this, And instead of looking out for your receiver who's wide open until 5 p.m. like I said, who's wide open. Instead of passing off to your receiver in that moment, you're looking at your tight end, you're looking at your other receiver, you're looking at defensive linemen for some reason, your head is just in the clouds, and out of nowhere you allow yourself to get sacked, right? I'm telling you, that husband, that boyfriend, these are good people. He would be like, oh, damn. present was the receive. Oh. Got you. My bad, baby, my bad. No. Even in instances that people are like insanely divided on, like to the point of threats, to the point of the threat of violence, even in political arguments, if you use some sort of football analogy, sometimes that cuts through, you know? Like if Trump is the quarterback. And he hikes the ball, because this is the play that he called. He called this play. This was his play that he wanted. He gets to call the play. Not always, not every play, but this play specifically. He called this play because he wanted to do it, because he thought it was a good idea. This was his play, right? And then everybody was open. The tight end was open. The wide receiver was open. All right, defensive backs. Everybody was doing what they were supposed to do. Everybody on the sideline was cheering, giving support like they were supposed to, and everybody on the field was playing their position as best as possible. And the screen was even working well. You know, everybody's moving out of here. People are wide open, and then your quarterback, rather than throwing what could potentially be a touchdown pass, he just sort of threw it out of bounds. Which is confusing. So the next time that y'all huddle up, you ask him, you're like, hey, what was that? What happened? That was the play that you picked. Why'd you throw it out? Were you scared you were gonna get sacked? What is it a time thing? You're trying to stop the clock? Like you're trying to give him the benefit of the doubt in as many ways as you can. Like, hey, so what's the plan here? You're literally bent over, huddled up, looking in close. What's the plan? What are you doing? What is the goal here? Because I thought I was playing my position perfectly, and then you do the. So what's next? What happened? Tell me what happened. And then your quarterback is like, I think the ball was black. I don't know. You know? I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying that when I tune in to the Super Bowl on Sunday, I plan to watch a good game, hopefully a game that makes sense, hopefully a game that is epic enough that it can yield more analogies for my daily life. And if Kendrick Lamar performs Not Like Us, I'd be a liar if I didn't tell you that even though I wasn't on stage and I wasn't at the game, I wouldn't pop up off my couch like, let's go! Cincinnati, y'all been phenomenal. Thank you so much.
Please make it loud for Josh Johnson!
I've been watching a lot of news. Which usually, it's not great. Every once in a while something will happen that you're like, that's okay. I'll let that slide. It'll be bad news, but it's bad news that you can like live with, you know? Like there's one particular squirrel that's been attacking a bunch of people, and it's like really getting them. It's like the news came. You know how much a squirrel has a scratch? You know how deep it has to get to be newsworthy? Like the news came and interviewed all these people. So far, he's got like 2 victims. Both people are like, he came right at me.
But mostly is bad in a bigger way. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, this is, I guess, what bothers me the most is that is who they interview as well. When you're watching the news, you end up watching a lot of rich people, but they won't have anything to do with what's happening, really. So why are you asking what he thinks? He does have money, yes, but like he wasn't even there. That's weird. And then sometimes the news will be about them because they're rich and they're moving money around. And we've done a thing now where we've equated being rich with being important. Because obviously money has power, it can bring you influence. But then at a certain point, you have to just accept that, like, yes, they have money, they don't know anything else. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I mean that from a place of like, we have equated having money with being really smart. You must be really smart if you got the money. Because you must be brilliant if you have lots of money, because it's the only way you can get money. Dude, I'm just saying, that's how they teach it. They're like, man, this guy was really smart. He had all the money. I'm sure he came about it by completely legal and ethical means, but like he has all this money, so he's probably really smart. We should just listen to him. And it's like, if that was how you got money, then yes, but it isn't. There's so many different ways to get money. Some people had an idea, they invented something, and then a lot of people were like, that's a great idea. We're glad you invented that. And then they buy so much of it that now this person is rich. Or you write a book. You write a book. You write a book and everyone likes the book, and then you put the book out and then the book is $20, but then like millions of people like it, which is millions of 20s. Even after taxes, that's still millions of 20s. So now you're rich, but you wrote a book. You don't know about anything but the book you wrote. But somehow every time we watch them in the news, we watch them in culture, we're like listening to them for an opinion that is not the thing that got them rich. Do you know what I mean? And that's something that feels crazier by the day, because crazier and crazier people keep getting rich. Do you know what I mean? Like, here's the thing. Okay, like someone like a William Randolph Hearst, right? Like someone who's like old rich, like black and white rich. Remember that? Just in the no color pictures of them rich. You know what I'm talking about? You can't find a single color picture. If there's them in color, that's AI, because they were before color. So then people who were rich before colors came out, I will extend the olive branch to them that maybe they knew more stuff because they had to know a wide range of things, and there was also less stuff to know in a way. Internet hadn't been invented yet. You could go to the library, but they had whole Dewey Decimal Systems that really just sometimes slowed you down instead of helped you, because then you're like, why am I going by 3.5 instead of just tell me the title? And then they also couldn't look it up like regular, so you had to use the system. They couldn't be like, oh, it's right over there, because the computer said, because computers weren't out yet and you didn't have color. So life was harder. And so I think someone who was very well rounded and got into business and had a bunch of different businesses could be very smart, could be someone who could answer questions outside of just their field, right? Present day, just present day is harder. It's harder to be smart about everything because everyone has access to almost everything. It also depends on how you made your money. Did you make your money from inventing something? Did you write a book? Did you start a company? And then the company was really successful. So successful, you could buy another company. And then now you have like 3 subsidiary companies under you. They're all doing well. Your big company's doing well. You're very successful. You know what to do when it comes to business. That doesn't mean you know anything about, like, I don't know, the environment. But maybe you made your money millions, maybe even a couple billion, from buying with some starter money, some funding from people. You bought like a pharmaceutical company, and this pharmaceutical company didn't really do anything, and none of the drugs really worked, but you told everybody that they did. You told everybody that they did. You told everybody in a level that kind of made you like a snake oil salesman, like, oh, it's gonna come out soon and it's gonna fix everything. And then people were like, it's gonna fix everything? That's crazy. Almost nobody ever says that, because that's pretty illegal to like tell people something's gonna do something, and then that's fraud. So for you to be like doing fraud on the news with your full chest, your company must really do that. And so then you get more investors, you keep doing rounds of, investing, you build up the company, and then it gets to the point where you're like ready to go public with nothing really. You don't even really have a company, and the drugs don't work. But you can either go public and then try to sell the company, you just try to sell the company outright, and then now you get to leave with the money you made from the company that somebody else bought. You scammed. You were scamming. And some people are very good at scamming. Some people are very smart scammers. Like when you watch the documentary later about their scam, you're like, wow. Wow, incredible. Good scamming. It wasn't my money. Delicious. So some people have scammed their way into millions or billions of dollars. Some people have earned it in the way that you can earn it through creating something that people in the market want. So then that builds some money up. And some people just come from money. Some people already had money, but you just didn't know who they were, because like their parents had sense enough not to try to be famous. So then they passed them a whole bunch of money, and then they showed up one day and they were like, I'm money. And then it's like, oh, okay, did he make all that money to just have money out of nowhere like that? It's like, no, he's actually really rich. And then you get what we have, like I had a friend who was talking to me about Elon and was saying he's like this like super genius. He's like this super nerd genius. And I was like, oh, what makes you say that? Like what? Like why would you say that or something like it? Like what makes you think? Like what makes you think he's a super genius? I'm just curious, right? I wasn't even hating. I was just genuinely like, what makes you say that? And he's like, just like Tesla and everything that he's trying to do with Mars and stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, plenty of people try to go to Mars. And that's actually pretty common. I know plenty of people who smoke up on a Friday thinking they can make it to Mars, and some of them go. Some of them have been there. I have been in rooms with people so high out of their mind that you're like, you at least at Venus. There is no way you stopped it. Okay. All right. Oh, I was trying. And trying is important. Everyone, look, if you have a dream, you should try. I want that for everybody. But trying isn't doing. He's not doing Mars. He's trying to go to Mars. He's trying to go to Mars. Also, Tesla, I'm pretty sure he bought that company, so he's smart enough to buy. He's smart enough to, like, use his money to buy something. I don't know if that makes you a super genius. So you can only equate, like, money with wisdom or being intellectual for so long before the bill sort of comes due. If you're so smart, what are you going to do with it? If the answer is just make more money, then like we don't need you. You know what I mean? And I say this because I was watching the news, and I don't even know why this was the B-roll that the news used, but it was a yacht, and I got mad. And I need to be clear here. I didn't get mad because it was like someone had a yacht and I want a yacht. I've joked about wanting a yacht. I don't want a yacht. What would I do with a yacht? Like, what would I even do? You know what I mean? I'm not mad that they had a yacht. I'm mad at the yacht. Do you know what I mean? Look, I don't care if you're rich and then you bought a yacht. I care that the yacht was dumb. This is a dumb yacht. This was, I think it was like $50 million, something like that, but it's a $50 million already. $50 million on a boat. That's like technically not a boat, it's a yacht, but it's a boat. It still does boat. It's a boat. You just don't even, it's a boat. You need to be in water for it to do its job. It's a boat, and $50 million. And then the boat had the boat had a pool. The yacht had a pool. So you basically spent $50 million on a bucket. It's a bucket. It's a bucket in the water. That's crazy. That's so dumb. That's why you shouldn't have the money. It's not even for like a more. I wish I was coming to you for like a moral reason of like, I can't believe it. I can't believe someone would spend $50 million on a yacht while there are people starving in their country. I'm not even trying to appeal to you like your morality or anything. I'm saying that if you spend $50 million on a boat with a pool in it, you're in the water. You're in the water. The water's here. You're surrounded by water, and you're like, no, but I don't want that water. That's why you should have nothing. Actually, that's why I hope for nothing for you, because to need a pool, you're in the water. If you fell overboard, you'd be able to swim. You want to go for a swim? Just tip over. You'll be swimming. And instead, you had a pool put on a boat. You had a pool installed on a boat. You had different water in your boat with the water surrounded. That is an I don't want to get up to get the remote level of lazy to swim. I could fall overboard and swim and maybe drown, or I could have a pool. I could have a pool and swim in that and maybe drown, and maybe and maybe you will, and maybe I hope you do. Like it's a pool on a boat. Sounds like a riddle. Why would you? Then swimming in it, swimming in it, swimming in it just to get out and be like, oh, I think I'm gonna go look at the water. A yacht with an infinity pool on it. A yacht with an infinity pool. You know what else is an infinity pool? You know the original infinity pool? You know the first infinity pool? It was a pool so big people thought there was an edge and you would fall off. That's how big the actual infinity pool was that you're in right now, but you want it your own. And then on the yacht, this thing will be like $50 million. And then they'll give you a little tour of the yacht. I've watched a tour of a yacht before, because sometimes I hate watch things, because sometimes I have a lot of like hate in my heart, and you would think the only way to get hate out is with love, but sometimes it is with an overwhelming portion of hate. Like when you actually indulge in the hate, and then you have so much hate that it is spilling out of you, and then you look at all the hate on the floor and you're like, that was too much, let me not do that again. But for the level of hate that I had, I did watch a whole like Lifestyles of Rich and Famous type thing, let me tour my yacht, right? And so the whole time they were touring the yacht, he was showing me basically an apartment, which is kind of cool, but it's only cool because it's a yacht. If we were on land, you'd be like, oh, you're middle class. Like that's what's so insane about a yacht, is that it's like you get a tour of the yacht, and already there are things that, like, just to be on the yacht make you uncomfortable. So they'll have like 3 tiers, right? And they'll be walking around the boat, and you see even the cameraman trying to follow the rich person trying to tour the yacht. There's not enough room between the rail and the side of the first floor apartment for you to really walk. So now he's over here being like, we got this one in 2015. Cameraman's trying not to fall overboard, and then he takes you inside and he's like, here's the bed, and the bed is like, fine. It's a bed. It's a bed. A bed. It's not mind-blowing. It's not even $50 million worth of bed. It's just a bed with some floor next to it. So far my mind isn't blown. Nobody's floating.
Nobody's like floating in midair and making it look like a experience worth $50 million. And then, they go up to the next level and they're like, oh, and we have a kitchen here. And it's like, the kitchen isn't a kitchen. It's like a kitchenette. Just like as someone who has lived in Brooklyn for a long time, this is my apartment. Maybe that's also why I'm upset. You put my apartment on a boat and then paid $50 million for it, and we're supposed to think that you're smart. No. Why? No, like it's also like you're giving yourself away. You already are willing to buy a $50 million yacht while there are people struggling in every country in the world. It really doesn't matter where you're from. And I'm not even telling you what to do with your money. I'm just saying, just know that about yourself, that you're willing to buy a $50 million yacht and show it off as people are struggling in your country, whoever you are, whatever country this is. If you know, right? But then to be like, oh no, I'm just gonna be in international waters for like a kitchenette amount of time. All right, that sounds like crime. That sounds like... You kind of admitted to me that whatever you plan to do something illegal. You're like, no, I'm gonna need a lot of supplies and a kitchenette. And I don't even know why I got mad about this, but they had a shower, but the shower wasn't like a shower. It wasn't, like you've been in a nice hotel room with a shower, and you've been like, oh, this is great, and you could. The shower looked a little like prison. You know what I mean? Like, I've never been to prison, but I've watched some documentaries. And the shower, just like, because they were trying to make it sound like it had all these features. They were like, you can get the waterfall. There's also, a spout that shoots this way, and then you have the one that's like mounted into the wall that just shoots across. And I'm like, okay, if you say so. But in the world of showers, I've taken a lot of showers in my life, right, every day, and the shower shooting across either screams high school gym or prison. Like, it's the shower shooting across, just a perpendicular shower is not luxury. Floor to ceiling glass, and glass as the floor and glass as the ceiling, so you can look down. So you can look down and be like, look at all the fish. Look at all the, what a mind breaking, look at all the fish that are passing by. It's like an aquarium. It's like my aquarium. I guess the world is like my aquarium. It's like, no, you're in the aquarium, you idiot. You're the one. You're actually the one that's boxed in. You moron. You're the one that's in the glass. How does that appeal to you? You're the glass. Like, you're the fish. You're the fish. You are the fish. The fish are swimming by like, what is... Oh, wow, I didn't know we got a zoo. I had no idea that we had a zoo. You're the fish. That's crazy. Just for the glass. All glass. And the fish swimming by, wondering, wow, even the fish are like, this is what you do with $50 million. Okay. All right. I mean, live your life, And I think that's also why I got so mad, is because it's like you bought this $50 million yacht, and you're not just greedy, you wasted it. Do you know what I mean? You're gonna spend $50 million, impress me. Make me go, wow, yeah, that's definitely better than feeding people. Do you know what I mean? It's $50 million. You should be able to get some dope stuff for $50 million and not just have a Brooklyn apartment on water that's shaped like a bucket. You know what I mean? It's just wasted $50 million. All right. I'll let it go. I was angry enough about it, and I just needed to let it out. But it's like at $50 million, like just the land, you could buy acres of land. You could own a forest. You could own a forest and everything in it. You could go to a forest that you bought with your millions of dollars and walk right up to Bambi and be like, I own you now. Like that's, you could do that. And instead you're like, no, it's nice to almost drown in a boat. That happened one time. There was a guy who had a yacht, and he had a pool in his yacht, and I don't know if he got like caught cramp or something, but he did like drown in his pool in his yacht. And I read about that, and I was like, and it's probably not a good response to have. That's not nice at all. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do what I did. But the laugh escaped. It wasn't like, I wasn't reading being like, ooh, I hope I see death. I was just reading, and then it was like, oh, and okay. Wow. Because it's just, it happened, I think, because we became so genuinely obsessed with money. Like, the U.S., America, we start out as a sort of land of opportunity. People would come here for a fresh start. Usually, it was like a fresh start. It wasn't actually like this land. We have like a money-hungry revisionist history of why people came here. There were people that came here because of religious persecution and for like a fresh start. Because you could get off a boat and just tell them your name was Larry, and they'd be like, all right, and then they'd write it down. There was no, you know what I mean? Like I don't even know if you get that in human history ever again, to just show up and be like, no, I'm Dave. I don't even know who you're. That's how we got like murderers. Like there was a whole theory that like Jack the Ripper may have come to the U.S. That's how fresh of a start you could get. You could flee London after some of the most horrific crimes known to man, show up at Ellis Island, and even say, yeah, I'm Jack. Like, just, you could even tell them that, and they'd be like, all right, good to go. Mr. Rapar? And people would do their best, and people would try to build themselves up in spite of all different types of persecution, because that was a time in America where like white wasn't even white yet. That is crazy, right? White was not, if you were Irish, it was like, you're what? You know what I mean? Like it was, like I've been reading about it in history, Italian, you would be Italian, and they'd be like, oh. I don't even know who was white. Looking back at it, it's like, I guess if you were British, but then if you were too British, they were like, I don't think you're loyal to this country. You accent all thick. Just hate. Everybody was hating everybody. Everybody had to build up as best as they could that came here, especially people who came here with nothing, and then they built themselves. And look, this is where we really started to go awry, on top of already like having slavery and stuff like that. We started to build a system where as long as there was someone beneath me, I was like, I'm fine. It started to become more about who's under you than you even doing well for yourself. It's the thing you see echo today, where there are people who are not doing well, but as long as this person's doing worse, then they're fine, you know. And as you build up, as you have more and more money, as you can pass down more and more money to your kids and everything, as you can one day be so rich that you pass down the money, and then you pass away, and then your kid shows up at the news one day to be like, I'm money, like that, like. That kind of turned into what the American dream was. It went from like land of opportunity, get a little slice of this place for yourself, really build something, be able to take care of yourself and your family, and it became like, are you rich? People wanted to be rich so bad that we looked at anybody who was rich as wise, that we need to do whatever it is they're doing to get where they are, because I want to be where they are. Never mind their sort of moral character, never mind how they treat people, or even how they got that money. They have $100 million. I want $100 million. I'll do whatever they tell me to do. The type of person that was willing to tell the masses how to get $100 million was not actually telling them that. They were like telling them how to give me $200 million. And I think it doesn't become apparent how crazy that level of wealth is always, because we're used to these people as characters. Right? So like you're used to like a Zuckerberg as an idea of a person, because he is an idea of a person. You know what I mean? Like no, look. I'm saying that he is his idea of a person. Like you could, this isn't coming out right. I'm saying that he is doing a perfectly fine first impression of a person. I'm saying, I want you to hear me when I say this. I'm saying that, you know how when your 4-year-old draws you, that's what he's doing as a person. Like he is, as a person, Mark Zuckerberg is being like, hello. That's what people say, right? Hello. And so he has, over $100 billion. And I think we can fathom that money, but we can't. Even when you try to count it, even when people make charts and they're like, guys, a billionaire doesn't even fit on the chart, right? You'll still see someone who is incredibly wealthy, and they only have we know them from being rich, and they only have $500 million. Like that's how crazy it is. It's like they're halfway to 1/100th of where Zuckerberg is. I think that's why I get so frustrated when I see the news, because you're watching the news and you're watching someone like Zuckerberg be on the news, and you're like, why? What could he possibly have to say that should be on the news? And here we're clearly stations are on sides, networks are on sides, right? But no matter what side, they can't just be like, this should never happen. And that's because we let rich people buy up all the news. So now a rich person owns the news. And so even if a journalist, someone who went to school to be a journalist, and someone who would like to tell people the truth as they find it out, they would like to do what they do in France, where in France they're like, this is the news in French. And then they want to do that, but in English for us. And then someone comes up to them right before they go live on air, and they're like, oh, don't say it's bad though, just say it's happening. You know? And so you see Zuckerberg have this huge, huge data center that's gonna decimate everything around it, and why? Like truly why? I don't think we know. We're watching these people, watching 5 companies basically prop up the S&P 500. S&P 500 is made of, I think, 500 companies. Make no mistake, without those 5 companies, the market would be correcting. It would be wherever it is supposed to be because of how the other companies are doing, which is how most companies are doing, which means it's how most of America is doing. But we've propped it up with these 5 companies. These 5 companies have gone all in on AI, and they've gone all in on AI in a way that functionally does not make sense. You look at Sam Altman, another candidate for person. You know what I mean? Like Sam Altman only looks confused when you ask him a moral question. No, it's crazy. It's crazy. Look, all right, I shouldn't even really talk about this, but it was wild. I watched Tucker Carlson interview Sam Altman, and Tucker Carlson kind of implied, he was like, hey, there was that OpenAI whistleblower who basically said that y'all were violating copyright law and stealing a bunch of information and everything, and then he died mysteriously. What do you think about that? It's weird to watch Tucker Carlson unleashed on somebody you hate. It's like when the bulldog that you've been scared of in your neighborhood your whole life finally bites your bully. You're kind of like... They seem to be canceling each other out right now. I guess if he was gonna bite anybody, it's good that it's him. And you see Sam Altman like clam up. Here's the thing. I'm not saying, can I be 100% with y'all? Can I be really honest with y'all? I am not saying at all that Sam Altman had anything to do with that young man's death. I am saying that interview didn't not make it look like it though. Like that. I try my best not to judge people because sometimes I don't even know what I'm gonna react like or do next in a certain scenario, right? And I think too often what we do to people is we say, I know they did this thing because of this thing, right? But all I'm saying is when you watch the interview, here's the thing. If I didn't like someone, right? I would be like, what? What kind of accusations? What are you trying to say? What are you... He asks him, and Sam is like, better start saying words soon. One of two things needs to happen in the next millisecond. Either you need to start saying, profusely that you had nothing to do with this and everything, like you need to really stake your claim that like you had nothing to do with this and you're maybe even very upset by the line of questioning or something. Or if you are a robot, now would be a good time for your face to like open up like Men in Black style and have like a little alien be like, how dare you, right? Like that would be great. Because this, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't get caught cheating. This is asking you about murder, right? No. None of that. Just a lot of like, it was very sad, and we, I actually know. I was, it's just, I don't even know how to react because I've never been accused. And then Tucker quickly goes, I'm not accusing you of anything. Tucker be like, I'm not, hey. Tucker act like he on a roller coaster at his own interview. What? What? No, I'm not. That's concerning, right? That's someone could beg the question, right? And then, look, to be fair, I didn't watch the entire interview. Maybe he came out with a very convincing answer 20 minutes later. But the substantial portion that I watched didn't look great. And I don't know. We have, OpenAI with Sora, with ChatGPT. We have these large language models that are basically meant to take us to like the next level, and it doesn't seem like they're doing that. It just doesn't seem to be the case that it's taking us to what was promised, right? We were promised almost a higher consciousness. We were promised to be able to do our jobs with ease. And then in the backdoor deals, companies were promised that they'd be able to fire all of us. You know what I mean? There were always two simultaneous pitches. One, the pitch to us was like, this is going to improve your life. It's going to make you more efficient. It's going to be faster. It's going to get rid of menial tasks. The pitch to our bosses was like, he'll be out of here in like 3 months. Come on, man. And so far, AI is failing on both those fronts, because we aren't elevated to some new form of consciousness. If anything, AI is giving people psychosis. Plenty of people have AI psychosis and becoming like more normal quicker than people are realizing it's happening. And here's a good test of the psychosis, right? If they talk to the AI like a friend, that's it. Did they name it? Is it called ChatGPT, but they called it Clarence? Then yes. They're in it now. If you're here and you're like, don't talk about Jan like that, you need to break loose. I pray for healing in your life, that you can break the psychosis. Because these large language models, they are imitations of what it would be like to connect with a person. It's not connecting with a person. It's doing an imitation of a person, and it's doing a better imitation of a person than we've seen so far. Even Zuckerberg can't touch the level of imitation of a person. This is why people think they're talking to a friend. And the understanding is that AI is going to destroy the planet. It needs so much energy to make a video of Pikachu pulling a cop over. The actual model, like you look at Sora, right? Because they just released Sora, and it can do all these things. It can like make Martin Luther King rap or whatever. Like it can do all of these like very weird things that nobody asked for. And apparently, every single one of those things costs OpenAI $5 to make. So like when people are just playing around on the thing and they're just like, look, I made Bob Ross high five Gandhi, $5. All right? So they are burning through money. We don't have a sustainable system for the energy. So why keep doing this thing? The theory is that they are doing it because they believe that when they get there, this thing will essentially be some sort of like all-knowing, all-understanding, thinking further, thinking light years ahead of us. It'll basically be God, right? And if they could like own God, then maybe they will be like a God, right? Because you'll basically have the company. You'll have the company that tells you every move to make in the market to own other companies, every move to make to protect yourself from other companies that are come after you. You would be done. You would be, you know what I mean? And that's that's terrifying. That's a terrifying idea, that not only that someone would want that, but that they would barrel towards it at the risk of burning up the planet, of taking up all of the water, of like it's an insatiable need for like power, for control, for influence. And then you watch the news and you see that these same people, these people that don't even know how to act like people, spend millions of dollars on a yacht that is basically a bucket. It's a bucket. It is. That's how you know they don't know anything. This is what you spent the money on, knucklehead.
When I